4th. This is an NBC 10 Coffee Break. I'm Brian Crandall. Our top story this morning, 4 people are facing charges after a Cranston ice cream shop turned into the scene of a stick-up. Police say 2 teenagers were robbed at gunpoint outside the Cold Stone Creamery at Chapel View last Monday. The suspects took high-end items, including Balenciaga sneakers, and the group then took off inside a rideshare car. That driver spoke with us this morning. He didn't want to show his face or be named, but he told us he had no idea the group committed a crime before hopping into his car.
Shaw's side of things. And then they just ran into the truck. They were very hurried, very hush-hushed. But they tried to make, a few statements that, caught my ears due to my training. But I never really thought too much of it until detectives rolled up.
3 men and a 15-year-old were arrested and are now charged with robbery and conspiracy to commit a felony. All right, this morning, NBC 10 also spoke with Alex Shea. He's the Brown University student who sent Doge-like emails to school administrators asking them about the work they did. Now Shea says Brown has filed disciplinary charges against him. Take a listen.
A lot of other people were too scared of doing it, and I mean, probably for good reason. They're coming after me they're saying I broke the IT policy. They're saying I misrepresented myself because I said I was a reporter for the Brown Spectator, which I am, but it's not a recognized student group at Brown University, and so they're coming after me for all these vague offenses. Now they say it's because I broke these policies, which I didn't, but in reality, it's because they don't agree with me, and people know that. People know that at Brown, there's a particular point of view that you're supposed to have, and when you buck the trend, when you go against the administration, they come after you too.
All right, well, the Brown spokesperson sent us a statement saying the emails were framed as a journalistic inquiry, but by a news organization with no active status at Brown for more than a decade. All right, let's now check with Storm Team 10 meteorologist Jason Dorist, who's got a look at the forecast. Jason, is this nice weather going to continue? It's been great.
Yeah, it is going to continue, and that's why we kind of took things outside today to kind of enjoy some of this nice, pleasant spring weather that we do have in place. As you can see, blue skies directly overhead, and those should be sticking around with us through the majority of today. Today, though, for some communities, will be slightly cooler compared to yesterday. We're going to have a little bit more of a prevalent sea breeze that does kick in the afternoon, but high temperatures still should be a few degrees on either side of 70, but we're going to be cranking up the heat as we go into tomorrow. A little bit of a different wind direction is going to allow for those temperatures to bump up into the mid to upper 70s for a lot of our inland communities, maybe even a couple spots pushing 80 degrees, slightly cooler along the coastline. The one thing about tomorrow, though, is we're going to be tracking a little bit of that wildfire smoke from New Jersey, kind of impacting parts of New Jersey and New York right now. But once we get a little bit more of a southwest wind, that's going to be pushing all that smoke into southern New England starting tonight. So tonight's going to be one of those nights where maybe want to shut the windows before you go to bed and not necessarily let that fresh air in, because we're going to start to see a little bit of an impact maybe with our air quality as that smoke rolls into the region. But that will all get flushed out by our storm system this weekend, which is expected to bring some rain to the region. And I'll obviously be breaking that down for you coming up starting at noon, Brian.
All right, another potential Saturday of rain. We had a break this past weekend, but continuing the trend from earlier on in the month. All right, thanks, Jason. It does look very nice out there, though, now. All right, well, it's day 3 of the Karen Reed trial. NBC 10's Katie Benoit is in Dedham covering the trial.
Good morning from Dedham, Massachusetts. Day 3 of testimony in Karen Reed's second murder trial is getting underway this morning. Now, yesterday was an extremely emotional day. Peggy O'Keefe, John O'Keefe's mother, took the stand, and she cried during her testimony, and she explained how she went to the hospital and she saw John there. Now, today, Canton firefighter and paramedic Daniel Whitley is expected to take the stand again this morning. He answered a few questions yesterday, but he'll be back on the stand today. I'll be in the courtroom and have updates on X throughout the day, and I'll also have an update at the end of the day.
And as Katie mentioned, you can follow her throughout the day on X. See her reporting tonight at 6 and 7. Now, the lawyers in the case are under a gag order, so they can't talk to the media, but Karen Reed can, and she did speak briefly outside of court yesterday. We'll hear from her right here after her dad.
Is innocent. She's not responsible. There was no collision. None. And it'll be proven.
There were a couple times you were shaking your head during court today,
well,
listening to testimony. What's going through your head?
What's going through my head is that I'm into the 4th year of this, and I would believe that as kind of a rhetorical series of questions. How many DAs would you know that after getting a Fed dump with the text of the leading detective who has been summarily fired, and with the ARCA testimony, would at that point, just a rhetorical question, say, we're not going any further? And then on March 19th, when that lead detective is dishonorably discharged, how many DAs, you're all reporters, would at that point say, we're walking away? And with that, I'm walking away. Good night.
It was a great day. I'm happy with today. And we're tired.
I just got to get in here.
All right, so just a little bit from Karen Reed there after her dad spoke quite a bit. You can watch the live stream of the trial all day on the NBC 10 WJAR YouTube channel. Well, Hasbro has just wrapped up its first quarter earnings call. There's been no specific mention of their headquarters, the Pawtucket-based toy company. We're waiting to see if they make a decision to move out of there and out of Rhode Island. There's been talk that they're interested in looking at the Boston Seaport District as a place for a new headquarters. Rhode Island has pitched them on staying at another location in Pawtucket or one of several locations in Providence, but there's really been no update from Hasbro other than they told us recently that they pushed back the decision from what was expected at the end of March to by the summer. So we're still waiting for word on Hasbro on their future plans. All right, well, tonight on NBC 10, inside the investigation, he's avoided capture for 2 decades. One of Rhode Island's most wanted fugitives took off 20 years ago this week while he was on trial for rape in Newport. Ronald Fisher was a doctor and known to use a bunch of fake names before he ran. Right there, you saw the victim in the case. Now, Fisher had a history of attacking women. Where he went 20 years ago after he disappeared is still a mystery. Coming up tonight, I'll take a fresh look at the disappearance of Ronald Fisher. So stay tuned for that. And thank you for joining us on this NBC 10 Coffee Break. News and weather updates are always available on turnto10.com. We'll be back on TV for NBC 10 News at noon. Have a great morning.